Well, I'm going to respect your time and we'll go ahead and get started. And like I say, I'm recording this. I don't expect this to take very long, especially two of you have already registered your kids. So in fact, the three of you, or the three that I've heard from previous to this, that you were interested in your students being part of this. So I don't know if there are others that are going to join. But I know, like I say, Bella and Isabel are registered already, and Mary had talked with me about Sam.
Okay, I need to register. I didn't realize people were registered.
Yeah, well, that's okay. No stress. I would like to get registrations in by the 21st, so that'd be 2 weeks from now.
Oh, that's fine.
Just so I can confirm and can begin getting mentors and getting mentors trained and getting everything prepared for our first meeting together in September.
I'll do that as soon as I can. I haven't had a chance to look at the package.
No worries. And it's online, and that's apparent that both of the other ladies did it that way, and I assume it worked okay. I know Joanne, that's a first, the whole online registration thing is kind of new still for Joanne. So if there was any feedback you wanted to give her, please feel free. If we're trying to make it as easy as possible these days, rather than having to have paper forms that you have to scan and send back or something silly. So, so you got the packet. You may not have had time to look at it. I totally get that. But I just wanted to tell you, so confirmation this year is going to be from September to May. And in the packet was a schedule that I attached so that you have the dates that we're planning so that you can plan. I know all three of you have busy family lives. And so you can look to see what we're expecting and get those things calendared. And I like that we're doing an extended program this year because the last time it felt kind of rushed and I didn't feel like I got to know the kids as well. And I didn't feel like they got to know each other quite as well. So I'm hoping that this time around, the kids will be able to interact more with Missy and I, with their mentors, and also with one another as they're journeying together. As I said this morning in worship, confirmation is a journey, and I'm going to talk with the kids about it being a journey. Their whole faith life is a journey. There's no ending point. And so this is just another step for them to help them explore their faith and where they are in their relationship with Jesus and in life, and to give them tools to help them to continue that faith as they go through their middle school and high school years, as well as when they get out and start to be able to make adult decisions for themselves. Where are they going to prioritize faith in their life? We'll talk too about what it means to be in the United Methodist Church. A little bit. I will give them some history and some things like that, but that's not my primary focus. Certainly we'll talk a lot about who is God. We'll talk about different practices of the church calendar. Help that I'm trying to be very intentional about giving them some experiences more than just learning. They'll learn by doing and being, but I don't want a lot of homework and a lot of book work, and I don't want it to feel like school. Not that school is a bad thing, but I think they'll be more engaged, especially, the two girls are 7th graders, so a bit younger, and definitely need those experiences as much as anything else. So, as we talk about what is Lent, that's part of the reason I want them to come to an Ash Wednesday service. And I would like to talk with them ahead of time, and also to follow up with them. And what was that like? And what parts didn't they understand, or what felt like it was for adults and not for them? How can we make it more multi-generational, those kinds of things, and get their input in those as we're talking about it. My philosophy on all ministries of the church is that we're about making disciples. That's the mission of the whole United Methodist Church, is about making disciples. And for us, to me, it goes back to our membership vows: prayers, presence, gift, service, and witness. And we do that as adults, but as I've talked with Missy about it, that applies to kids and youth too.
You're still on the
Just at their age level. And so what does it mean for them to have people praying for them? But also, what does it mean for them to pray with one another or pray individually? Same with reading their Bibles and being in small group discussions, having some service opportunities. So on the calendar in October, I'd like for them to be at Jacob's table and help serve the meals. I have to arrange that yet with Faye. I'm hoping that'll be okay. But that I would say that that's one opportunity where if for some reason your student couldn't make it on October 10th, which is the date that I picked, that could be one that your student doesn't do with the group and could do on a different day by themselves.
What day is Jacob's table? Sorry.
What's that?
What day is Jacob's table?
It's Monday nights.
Okay.
And so I put on the schedule like 3:30 to 5:30. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll have to check with Faye to see when usually people show up, but I think that's when her volunteers get together to be in the kitchen and they put together the takeout meals.
Right.
And,
okay.
And then they serve for an hour as cars drive up under the porch.
Right.
And then also I'd like them to do an offsite service project. And I don't have that picked yet. My hope is to take them over to Basher Children's Home in Goshen, which is one of our United Methodist homes. But if that does, again, I don't have that scheduled. So if it doesn't work out, there are plenty of other places in the Chesterton area that we can take kids. I want them to be able to see that you can live a life of service inside the church as well as outside of the church. Again, going back to this idea that it's about your whole life, not just Sunday mornings, not just when you can fit it in. And so attendance is pretty important to us in confirmation. And I know, like I say, all three of your families have super busy lives. And so it was a practice with Pastor Shannon and practice with me too. If you look at that calendar and say, you know what, we just can't commit this year to these dates, my student's going to have to miss too often. I totally get that. Maybe you would consider a different year. If I'm here, I intend to have another confirmation class next year. I assume if I'm not here, the next pastor will do the same. And Missy will be more familiar with the process too. So she would be certainly able to do that next year. So there shouldn't be any gaps like there was in 21. The other thing I would say about confirmation is that I really would encourage your families to help participate with the confirmand, that this isn't just something for your student, but you spend far more much time with your student than I do. And so attending worship together and talking about your own faith journeys. One of the things I'm going to have the kids do is kind of do their spiritual autobiography, like who's been an important model for them in their faith life so far. How did have they been baptized? Do they even know their baptism story if they've been baptized? Those kinds of things. I think it would be great if your families would talk about that too. If you've been baptized, does your child know that story? It's always amazing to me when I get ready to do funerals with people, and I'll ask them if their loved one who has died was baptized, because I never want to say that they were when in fact they weren't. And it's amazing. The majority of families don't know. Their loved one never talked about it. And so I would encourage you to have conversations with your student as they go through confirmation, to talk about not just what they're learning, but be listening for their faith questions as they're exploring things. You certainly don't have to have the answers. I don't have all the answers. What I have discovered is it's a real good benefit to just be a listener. And it's always okay to say, you know, I don't know the answer to that, but maybe we can find it out together, or let's go talk to Pastor about that and see what she would say. It's also good to just ask them the question back. What do you think about that? So like the little boy, I used the example this morning of the little boy that asked me about, were dinosaurs, did God make dinosaurs before or after the flood? And so I believe that was my first question back. Well, why is that important to you? I didn't want to answer a question he wasn't really asking. Why was that important, and what did that boy think? Asking it back to your students. So don't feel the pressure that you have to know everything. But Sarah, I know you already have kids that ask hard questions, so you're probably quite used to that by now. But your kids are all observant. If we're asking them to explore their faith and grow in their faith, the words that I speak to them are going to have far less meaning than the example that you show them. So when they see you exploring your own faith and talking about your background and making worship or prayer a priority, those things are going to carry a far more weight with your student than what I can do. But my hope is that the two things together, what the church can offer you and what the family brings, just reinforces with your student and ingrains that experience with them. I will give them a Bible reading plan. It won't be daily, I promise you, because I can't even do daily Bible readings consistently. So I'm thinking it might be weekly, just a short passage every week. And so you'll know what those are. And maybe that's a time of reflection for both of you, to just talk about, what you got from that scripture. Again, you can go as deep or as not as you want, but that would be another way to share things together. Oh, the other thing, so most of the gatherings that we'll have will be on Sunday evenings from 5 to 6:30. And we will provide food for your students, because I know that's during the dinner time. I wouldn't want to make them wait till they got home to eat. So on the registration form, it asks about allergies. So make sure to tell us if there's some, if they have some nut allergy or something we need to be aware of. We will also give them Bibles. If they already have an adult version of a Bible, we don't need to give them another one if they already have one that they're using. But if they're still using their kid Bible, they're probably all NIV, which is an adult translation, but if it has a kid drawing on the front of the cover, they probably want something that looks more adult for them. And so we'll be glad to provide them with another Bible. And I mentioned mentors. Each one of our confirmands will be paired with an adult mentor that has been background checked and trained. And that mentor will just be advised to check in with them at least once a month, if not twice a month. Phone calls, texts, whatever's going to work with your student. If you're comfortable with the mentor taking them out for ice cream or something like that, that certainly is a good thing. We just want one of the things that statistics tell us is that the more adults that are present in a student's life, spiritual believing adults, the better it is for that kid. And so this would be just yet one more consistent adult presence in their life. That's our hope. And so we'll get mentors for your kids. Any questions about anything I've said or things you read in the packet or things that I forgot to include?
I'm just going to comment quickly because I don't know how much longer I can be on. It all sounds really great. I love the service idea. The supper is really nice, but don't ever, if Faye ever isn't up to it, I mean, I'm used to feeding Sam before things. And then my one quick request is Sam always bemoans the fact that he has to hang out with older guys, like Vic's age. So if he could have a mentor that's a little bit younger.
Good point. Certainly will.
He would feel a little more hip.
Yeah.
And he would totally accept any of the old guys. He loves all the old guys, but you know, I was just throwing that out there because it's always like, oh, it's always old guys. And
Well,
I
and
can relate to that too. But
that's a good point, Mary, because you and Vic are older. Again, to give some diversity of adults in his life,
yeah,
certainly is appropriate.
yeah.
And it will,
So,
and it will be a male mentor. We'll
yeah, that's good.
separate by genders.
Yeah, I think he even appreciated a VBS getting to know Missy's husband better.
Yeah, Scott.
Yeah, so that was all good too.
Nice. There is one lock-in on the schedule. I should also mention that to you. So the weekend after New Year's, rather than having a retreat where we go away to Epworth, we'll have a lock-in at the church on Friday night and part of Saturday. So just know that that's on the calendar as well. I'm hoping to be able to take them to one outside worship service, something that's at a different style than what we're used to. So either a Jewish service at a synagogue on Friday night, or something on Sunday morning, could be an African-American urban church, or something different to expose them to something other than what they might be accustomed to.
I like that.
Okay. Any other questions?
I think I'm good. This was really good. I enjoyed this. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. So the registration form, like I say, was in your packet, or there was a link, I think, that Joanne sent in the email. I'll resend the email with this recording to all the parents. For anybody else, if you know of anybody else that's interested in having their kid be part of this. If we could get those registrations in the next 2 weeks, Mary, that'd be great. But I'll go ahead and plan on having Sam as a part of it. So no stress.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
you. And just real quick with the meals, I assume if you're setting up a list or something of people to provide, happy to take turns and swap, bring in meals or whatnot. So
Yeah, and I was expecting it's going to be fairly low key. I'm thinking, sandwiches or something. Kathy Fitzmaurice and Shirley Peppers provided the youth meals when Mandy was having Wednesday nights. So I figured that was probably the place I was going to start. And,
Nice.
but yeah, we could even pass a clipboard around at church. Or
Mhm.
people are usually pretty good about providing food.
Yeah.
But I appreciate the offer. That's great.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right, fantastic. Royce, good to see you too, or half your face anyway.
Good to see you.
All right, you guys take care.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Right.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.